turn on their videos so that we can have a sort of a group picture of all the participants. Admin, can you please take the a screenshot of the of collective participants, if that's possible for us, to have this. May I request all participants to kindly turn on their videos, please. So, admin, can you also drop a message on our WhatsApp group that the session has been started again now? Okay, so we are here, right? Please, admin, if you can take the pictures of all the participants, a group photo. Is it done?
Ankush, have you taken some pictures?
Yes, sir.
So is it done? Then you can say it's done.
Sure, sir. I will taking, sir, two more pics.
Okay, sure. Please,
I think
please go
some
ahead.
participants are still joining, so it will be good to
Okay,
wait for
wonderful.
15
Right.
minutes.
So once the participants have joined, we can take a collective picture of all. So we are done.
Yes, sir. I have taken the 5-6 snapshots, sir.
Okay, wonderful, right. So I can see many videos over there, and I was say that especially the one I like is the Mr. Karma Sangai, right? Yes. So basically, I will like traditional dress which you're actually wearing, and we have a few other participants as well. Yeah. So it's wonderful to have all of you, and we will quickly proceed towards our second session now. May I request all, then now you can turn off the videos for better sound quality and to avoid any disruption. Yeah. So our next session is on the technologies for resource recovery from commercial scale biogas plants, and that will be delivered by our lead trainer, Professor Sanjeev Kumar. He will be discussing about the management of waste streams in commercial biogas plants, resource recovery of waste CO2 from biogas enrichment, and valorization of digested slurry from biogas plants. So I think I have already done a sort of introduction for Professor Sanjeev Kumar, but nevertheless, for those participants who have joined us, I can say Mr. Sanjeev Kumar is our lead trainer, and he started his career in biogas technology in 2009 and 10 under Biogas Development Training Center. He was a research fellow over there, and during his tenure, he was involved in the field level surveys, training to the professionals, and research work related to biogas technology implantation in the state of Uttarakhand and a part of Uttar Pradesh. He is then moved to IIT Delhi in 2011 for PhD. And during his PhD work in close association with the BDTC, IIT Delhi, in area of biogas technology. Since 2011, Professor Sanjeev is having a research on biogas production from algal biogas and cattle dung. So over to you, sir. Lead trainer, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Ali, for this introduction. So before any delay, because we are, I think we are running a little late, so I'll try to finish the lecture within 25 or 30 minutes, because allotted time is 30 minutes only. So, yeah, I hope the slides are visible to everyone. Are the slides visible? Hello. Can you see the slides now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Slides.
It's there.
Yeah, thank you. So today I will be talking about the technologies for resource recovery from commercial scale biogas plants. So when we talk about the biogas plants, particularly at the commercial scale, so as Mr. Shukla told that without the recovery of the soil, like the fertilizer is the biogas plant cannot be commercial. It cannot be
Sorry for the
commercially.
interruption, sir, but your voice is not clear, sir.
Okay, wait a minute. Hello, is it clear now?
Yes, sir, it's fine now, sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Voice is
You're
fine
audible.
now.
Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you
Yes,
are
Yes,
audible.
you are audible.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello,
sir.
yes.
Yes, we can hear you very clearly.
Hello, am I audible? Mr. Ali?
Yes, you are audible. You're audible.
Hello.
You're audible.
Hello, it's audible.
Dr. Sanjeev, you are audible to us.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you very clear.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I was talking about the problem with the commercial viability of the biogas plants. So until and unless we recover the resources from the waste stream of the biogas plants, so no, commercial scale biogas plant cannot be a viable option. So that's why I've taken this short lecture on this topic, like technologies those can be applied for the resource recovery from the commercial scale biogas plant. And the content cover will be like biogas plants as a biorefinery approach. When we are extracting more than one kind of product from a plant, it may be considered as a biorefinery, particularly when we are talking about the bioenergy engines. Then the resource recovery, like gaseous streams, those are available in the biogas plants. So those will be taking some discussion on that also. And then the solid and liquid part, and the challenge in the future outlook with respect to the resource recovery. And the overall objective of this lecture is to have some idea on the methods that can be applied for the resource recovery from the commercial scale biogas plants. So this, I think this picture is known to everyone. Everyone knows what is happening here. But interesting thing is that like these three things, like what we are calling, about the CO2, which is coming out from the biogas purification unit, and the digestate, either it's a liquid part or the solid part. So these are considered as waste. Usually from the biogas enrichment unit or the biogas purification unit, CO2 is directly discharged to the environment, which is causing lots of problems. At the same time, the slurry, in some cases, it is being used as a fertilizer. In some cases, the amount of the generated slurry is too much. It cannot be applied completely to the field. So in that case, it again creates some problem. So I believe that rather than looking on these stream as a waste stream, so we should focus on recovering of the resources. Like, as we know that the solid and liquid are rich in nutrients. So if we can have some technology for recovering the nutrients from these systems, it will be very good. Similarly, there are several commercial applications of the CO2, like healthcare, RML machine, food industry, pharmaceutical, etc. So if we can purify that gas which is coming out from the biogas enrichment unit, so that will be good. Like, we can use it for the commercial application and then we can sell it up. So I will be talking about these three options, like solid, liquid, as well as purified CO2. Coming to the gaseous resource recovery, so we know that there are several methodology by which we can purify the methane. Like when we talk about the biogas purification, we always talk about the methane recovery. We never talked about like the CO2 recovery. And what we do, we usually use some technology for improving the concentration of methane in the final biogas or the compressed biogas which is coming out from the enrichment unit. And what we do, we release the CO2 to the environment for the regeneration of the material that is being used for the purification of the biogas. So that is the common practice in most of the cases in commercial plants throughout the world. But these like release of the CO2 to the atmosphere, either it is in the water form, like carbonated water coming from the water skimming unit. So when it comes to the atmospheric pressure, the CO2 is released. So the focus should be on that, how we can utilize that waste stream of CO2 into the marketable product. So these technologies, those are available for the biogas purification. Same reactor can be used for the recovery of CO2, but we have to manage that how we can collect that CO2 and how we can purify it. So these are the methods, like absorption method is there, water scrubbing method is there, process swing absorption is there, and cryogenic separation. I briefly cover these things. Like if we talk about the process swing absorption, so usually the gas molecules are trapped on a molecule C. So either when we are passing the gas through different towers, so in that case, what will happen that the impurities in the biogas like CO2, H2S, ammonia, and the vapors will be absorbed in the absorbing material. So this is how we are getting the methane. Then during the regeneration stage, these gas, which is known as the exhaust gas, is released to the atmosphere, having the high concentration of CO2. Okay. So in this case, our focus is to recover that CO2. Similarly, in case of absorption techniques, so first class of the absorption technology is the water scrubbing. So where we usually use the dissolution of gases and vapor in the liquid. Okay. So the principle is based on like how the gas can be solubilized in the liquid phase or the vapor can be solubilized, and it is done like on the low temperature and high pressure. Okay. And during this process, the CO2, other acidic and basic impurities in the gas are absorbed parallelly. Okay, and the biogas is clean. We can say that biogas has been enriched. Similarly, there are physical methods by the organic solvents. So there are several marketable solvents which are available in the market. For example, polyglycol, dimethyl ethers are there. Those are serving as an absorbent and being the organic reagent. So those can absorb selectively the CO2 and some of the impurities from the biogas. Okay. And we will be having this off gas, which is again reaching the CO2 concentration. Similarly, coming to the chemical absorption by organic solvent. So in that case, we use amine. For example, monoethylene amine is there. And there are some other examples also. These are the compounds, those are used in the chemical absorption by the organic solvent. Okay. Again, we have the off gas, which contains 80 to 90% of the CO2. Okay. So we have seen that in most of the cases, when we talk about the membrane separation, cryogenic separation, in all the cases, what we are doing, we are removing the CO2 and impurities from the biogas and we are releasing it to the atmosphere as the exhaust gas or the off gas. Okay. But I will share one case study that how people have done, like worked on this waste CO2 or sometimes called as bio CO2 to convert it into food grade CO2. So this is an example, the case study of Costco biogas plant in Denmark. So they have been producing the food grade sustainable CO2 from a large scale biogas facility. So coming with the brief background of the plant, so they are having like 1 million tons of biomass, which contains more than 80% of the animal manure. And they are able to produce around 49 million meter cube of biogas per year. And with respect to the utilization of biogas, so they are upgrading it to the biomethane, means they are removing the CO2 and they are injecting it to the natural gas grid. And now the things which is interesting, very interesting to know that the CO2 is captured and transferred to the CO2 facility. So this schematic is shown here that after the enrichment, they are taking the CO2 rich gas and they are then transferring it to the CO2 facility. Okay. Now here the picture come in play, like we can say there are 7 steps purification process for the food grade CO2. So this CO2 which is being stored in the CO2 facility will go through the 7 steps of purification like filtering, washing, distillation, compressing, condensation, drying and cooling. And after that, the quality the quality of CO2 will be of the food grade, because they have claimed and they have analyzed it that almost all the impurities are removed. Either it's nitrogen compounds, either it is H2S. So everything they have removed from the bio CO2 or the purified CO2. So this is how this biogas plant, apart from the selling the biogas and the liquid or solid fertilizer from the slurry, they are also recovering the CO2 and they are selling it to the market. So you can see the value here. The production of around 16,000 ton of CO2 for commercial use can be done, and they have reported like they are doing it. So like an annual market of the CO2 is around 65,000 ton per year. Means they are importing the CO2 from the different sources. So almost 20% of the demand of CO2 is being made through the one biogas plant, which is the largest biogas plant in that area. So this is how the waste stream can generate more revenue. Like I told you that there are several companies, those are interested to buy the purified gas, like it should be CO2, purified CO2. So this CO2 will be usable for their commercial applications. And this is the example that how the biogas plants can be converted into bio CO2 plant. Okay, so biogas is the one point, like bio CNG or compressed biogas is one point. Then another way we can say it's a biofertilizer plant, and now the people can say it's a bio CO2 plant. And bio CO2 that is of food grade. So this is one interesting example of the case study related to the recovery of CO2. Coming to the this slurry part, which is very problematic in some of the cases, because if it is released to the environment, obviously it will be creating lots of problem to the soil as well as the water bodies. Okay, so this digestate can be used directly if it is in less amount, or it can be processed into different components of the products if it is in huge amount. Okay, so the aim of valorizing the digested slurry is to reduce the nutrient load on the remaining effluent to produce the marketable biofertilizers. So I have seen some plants like one for which we will be seeing the live demonstration. They have produced more than 40 different products based on the biogas slurry. Okay, and it should be processed to reduce the volume of the effluent. So sometimes there are technology by which we can remove the, like we can recover the nitrogen, or we can recover the phosphate from the total liquid, and liquid can be recycled. But this will result in the reducing the transportation cost, because solid part we can easily handle. The problem is with the liquid part, which is very difficult to handle due to the logistic issues, like storage is required and transportation is required. And sometimes if we pack it into a small marketable product, so people have reported that even after packing it into the bottles, there may be some cases that the biogas keep producing in that liquid. So there are some challenges with respect to the biogas slurry. So when we talk about the digested processing, so like one option is that digested conditioning. Okay, so in that case, we are improving the quality to meet the marketable product. So market the products of the fertilizer, those are available in the market. So we have to meet the quality of the digestate at par with the other chemical fertilizers. And for that we need to do the treatment. Okay, so first thing is that we have to use some separator. By using the separator, we can get the liquid part and the solid part separated, and then we can use like solid part, we can dry it, And obviously during the drying, some of the nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus may be lost. Okay, or if there are nearby agriculture fields, so we can utilize that. Okay. And some methods will be there which I will be discussing soon. So first stage after we get the biogas slurry is to separate the liquid and solid. Unfortunately, we have different machinery. Those can be applied, but in most of the cases, the solid removal from the liquid part is not very much efficient. Even after the effluent which is coming from these decanter, centrifuge or screw press separator, will be having large amount of the suspended solid. So that is very, very difficult to handle, and that will go into the liquid part. And the solid part can easily be handled in that case. So these are some of the examples of the liquid solid separator. Then the solid and the liquid fraction can be processed. For example, the processing of solid fraction can be done in terms of the soil improver in the nearby area, or it can be taken for the composting. It's always good to do the composting before you use the biogas slurry in the field, because the organic fraction in the digested slurry will be low. So if you are composting it with the organic fibrous materials such as wood chips for composting, in that case the organic content in that fertilizer will be improved, and the nutrient availability will also improve because of these material like dry leaves and grass. They will improve the water absorption capacity of that slurry part. So in that case, water retention will be there, and the nutrient will be remain in the final product itself. Otherwise, when you are drying the slurry directly, in that case, there are chances that the nutrient will be lost due to the drying. And another technique like composting could be the vermicomposting. With the help of vermicomposting, the slurry can also be processed along with other waste, so that we can get the good quality compost or the fertilizer. Yeah, drying is one option. As I told you, it can be done through different routes, like solar radiation can be used. And sometimes if the biogas plant is having the combined heat and power unit, so they will be generating excess heat that can be utilized for drying the slurry. Okay, but this should be noted that whenever we are drying the solid part, the nutrient will be lost. Some of the nutrient will be lost. Okay. And the dried slurry can be used in different applications, including the horticulture and gardening. And one good example is like mushroom cultivation. In some cases, like when we go for the mushroom cultivation, we have to use agro residue. Along with the agro residue, if we are using the dry slurry or the dry part of the digestate, that improves the mushroom cultivation. And again, when coming to the processing of the liquid fraction, so we can use it directly if it is feasible, or if it is problematic, let's say if we have to transport that complete liquid to different location, so obviously the transportation cost will be very high in that case. And if the volume of this liquid fertilizer is very high, so storage will be a problem. And as I told you that there are cases where the biogas keep producing, like biogas remain generating from that liquid part of the slurry, so which create lots of problem. So it's better to process it. Some cases like we can do the ammonia recovery from that liquid part. So ammonia stripping is a process which can be applied, and it can be applied to the liquid part for recovery of the ammonia, and then ammonia can be utilized for making the fertilizer. Like it produces like low pH ammonia sulfate. Okay, so this low pH ammonia sulfate will be very good fertilizer in case of the soil is having the alkalinity or having the neutral reactions. Okay, so sometimes we have to decrease the pH of the soil, and the ammonia which has been withdrawn from the liquid part of the digestate or recovered from that, so that can be used to make the ammonia sulfate with the low pH, and we can use it for the as a fertilizer in some cases. Similarly, we can do the phosphate recovery in terms of precipitation of phosphate using some technology like the process diagram is shown here. And in some cases, when we are doing the phosphate recovery, we have to take the help of the microbes, because there are several microbes, those can accumulate the phosphate in their body. So such kind of techniques, although these are some of these are based on the research studies, but such kind of techniques may be applied in the field also, and some interest should be generated in terms of recovery of nutrients. So one thing is that we are recovering the slurry part, we are separating the liquid and solid. That is one thing, but ultimately, just to reduce the volume of the liquid part, we should focus on the recovery of the nutrients, and we can concentrate, we can crystallize them, or we can use some along with some salt, and then we can use them as a fertilizer. Okay, like here in case we are having the nitrogen fertilizer or ammonia fertilizer. In the second case, when we are focusing on the phosphate, so we can get the phosphate as a fertilizer. So these are some options; those can be applied in the field also. Yeah. So like, now one more thing which I missed to mention, that we are talking about the recovery of nutrient, we are talking about the recovery of fertilizer, we are talking about the gas recovery. But what about the water? You all know, to operate our biogas plants, we have to dilute the we have to dilute the substrate. In case of like cattle dung, we have to mix it with the equal amount of water to make a slurry. So means the biogas plants, when these are at large scale, obviously their water requirement will be very high. So there have been some studies like where people are talking about to recycle the part of liquid digestate. So it is done. It can be done, like people are doing it, but we cannot recycle complete amount, because the complete volume which is coming out from the digester, we cannot recycle it to the digester. In some cases, it may create ammonia inhibition, like ammonia accumulation may occur in the reactor, but in some cases the volume will be reduced because of this extra liquid part in that reactor. So to avoid this, we should have some purification technology by which we can purify the water after recovering the nutrients. We should purify it, and we should look forward to the recycling, or at least to use it as a process, like in case of process, including cleaning of the utensils in the plant or the pipelines or the process water, like as a process water we should use it. Related to this, I have got an interesting case study which I'm sharing here. It's a plant which is in the Switzerland. Okay, so again, there are few, like they are based on the manure, bio waste, and the industrial biogenic waste, and their total production capacity is around 3.4 million meter cube per year. And now what they are doing, they are converting it into methane, like biomethane, and they are giving it to the gas grid, and they are saving around 90 gigawatt hour of natural gas annually by using one plant. Okay, and this is the input and output. You can see that pig manure is the main waste. Then they have the bio waste also. Total input is around 60,000 ton per year, and the output are written here, like they are getting the solid and the liquid part also. And this cleaning, biogas cleaning, is based on mainly the PSA, pressure single adsorption. And the beauty of this process is like that, when we talk about the overall performance of the plant, it's very good in terms of recovery of different components, because they are selling the liquid part into the market as a liquid fertilizer. They are collecting the solid part, and they are making the organic fertilizer out of that. And at the same time, they are treating the water, and they are recycling it. So you can see they have the ultrafiltration. Okay, so solid part, they are doing the post-composting process, and they are achieving the good quality. And the liquid digestate, they are treating in a series. They are doing centrifugation, then ultrafiltration, and finally reverse osmosis. So doing this, they are generating more than like 30,000 tons of permeate, the filtered water, and that they are using for cleaning purpose in the plant. So this is a live example of that, how we can recycle the water in the biogas plant also. So water, we do not usually give much weightage in terms of, because it's available easily in some of the area, and we can easily extract it from the groundwater, and we can use it for the biogas production. But if we think like how much water we need for producing 1 meter cube of biogas, so you should know, like if we are adding 25 kg of cattle dung, and in that case we need 25 liter of water. So fresh water taken from the ground is being converted into digested slurry. So that should be recycled in some way. So this has been done by this biogas plant, Swiss Farmer Power Biogas Plant in Switzerland. Similarly, there is a study where, like in India, so they have the in Namakkal district of Tamil Nadu, there is a plant, waste to energy plant. So this is based on the anaerobic digestion only. So they are having around 1,20,000 ton of kitchen litter, and they are producing around they are having 6 units of 1 megawatt biogas power plants in that particular location, and they are generating like 20,000 megawatt hour of electricity, and they are feeding it to the electricity grid. So I could not generate more detail about this process, but they are doing. And they are generating the solid like fertilizer, liquid fertilizer. And for the organic fertilizer unit, they have different processes, like you can see here in this schematic. So this liquid part is being processed through the different routes, and they are recovering the nutrients, like they are containing the nutrient-rich water, which is rich in the ammonia and potassium and phosphate also, and they are recycling the permeate as a process water. Similarly, there is another studies. So this is a plant. I think this report was little old. This report is little old. So you can see that more than 10 years of production of fossil-free automotive fuel, and this certified digestate from food waste. So this is NSR biogas plant in Sweden. Okay, so these are some of the facts and figures, like the organic waste capacity, methane generation capacity, biogas production, etc. And the upgrading, they are having the 3 units, like they are having this PSA as well as water scrubbers. Okay. So this biogas upgrading unit is shown here in this picture. So the rate of biogas purification is around 1400 meter cube raw biogas per hour. So this much of volume of the biogas they can handle easily. Okay. So now coming to the resource recovery, so you can see like from 160,000 ton of digested food waste in the biogas plants, around 490 tons of nitrogen, 90 tons of phosphorus or phosphate, and 170 tons of potassium are available for recirculation as fertilizer on annual basis. So this is how they are recycling. They are recovering the nitrogen, they are recovering the phosphate, and they are recovering the potassium as well. And they are recycling it and selling it to market to be used as fertilizer. Okay, and they have the Swedish government has some certification policy, and their digest is certified according to the Swedish certification system. So this is SPCR 120, and now this fertilizer is approved for to be used in the agriculture field, particularly for the food industry applications. So these are some of the case studies that I was interested to share with all the participants, so that we all together can look for exploring the possibilities. Like biogas production, we are also looking, but at the same time, we should also focus on the resource recovery. Yeah, one more thing that there is one research paper which is based on the constructed wetland technology. So here again they are talking about the liquid digestate, and they are treating it just to recover the water. Okay, if such kind of technology can be developed, because this is a research study, there are no such case study. I could not find any case study on that. So research papers can serve as a base, just an idea that we can also use some plant like aquatic plant to recover the nutrient from the liquid part, and we can recycle that water that has been treated, and we can recycle it to the biogas plant itself. So there are some scopes in this direction, and again based on the plants like vegetation plants. So this is considered as a natural system. So these are known as constructed wetlands, and we all know that there are natural wetlands, and we are mimicking the natural wetlands in terms of having the aquatic plant and some engineered material in that systems, so that the plant performance can be improved for the removal of the pollutants or the nutrient from the liquid digestate. So this is very interesting paper, and I've shared this link so that you can download and you can learn more about this work. And the overall challenges and future outlook include like reduction in energy consumption is very much challenging. Like we have to work together. Like we have to focus on like it should be the energy, because biogas plants are meant for energy recovery. If the energy consumption is very high, obviously it will be problematic in that the economy will be not sustainable. And we should have some techniques to handle this H2S and CO2 in a single unit. And in the previous lecture, I talked about the H2S recovery. It can be recovered. I showed a video in which we can recover the sulfate. And similarly, today we talk about the CO2 recovery and how we can use it for the market purpose. And there are some attempts required for minimizing the cost of biogas enriched unit volume of the biogas that is being enriched. And yeah, obviously the liquid part should be recycled as dilution water at least. And designing of large throughput and reliable system that can sustain rapid recycling towards circular economy. So because now this is the era of circular economy, in terms of the energy recovery, we are taking a part in this circular economy, but we have to work on some other aspects also. And there are some role models available in different part of the globe. So such role model should be replicated with the SAARC member states. So this is my submission to all the participants. These are the references, and thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, for this wonderful presentation. And I think I'm for the viability.
Dr. Ali, I think you are muted again.
So now, can you hear me?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, for this very interesting presentation. And I think when we talk about this commercial viability of these biogas plants, I think one of the most important aspect is the resource recovery, which you have very profoundly covered within this presentation. So we are open for any question and answers. I mean, if we have we have these participants, around 70 participants right now, so we just want to see, I mean, if you have any questions, we'll be happy to address. So any questions from the audience? Okay, so we have one question. In fact, we have two questions. So I would like to take the first one from Mr. Inayat Kabir. Please, could you unmute your mic and speak to the presenter?
Thank you for a wonderful and informative presentation. Here, in case of wet digestion, water addition or dilution, it's a problem. And so far I know there is another technique called dry digestion technology for biogas production. What's the prospects? I don't know, but I want to know from you what's the prospects of dry digestion. It is not so much practiced in some countries.
Yeah, so thank you for the nice question. It's a very useful question, I must say. That dry digestion is good technique, but it cannot be applied to all kind of waste. For example, in most of the cases, the slurry could not come out from the biogas plants, so the plant can choke. So it's there are some limitation. Obviously, in future, with some development, it may come as a leading technology in terms of the anaerobic digestion. But as of now, there are some drawbacks like choking of the plant is one of the major problem, and it is not applicable to all kind of waste. So these are some limitations as per my understanding. So I haven't learned more about the dry digestion. And one more thing is that like during my PhD, I noticed that when we are increasing the dilution, the biogas production per unit mass of the substrate is increasing. So in fact, IIT Delhi, you can search about the research paper. They have shown if the cattle dung is diluted 8 times. So in that case, the biogas production per gram of volatile solid is much higher than the normal dilution in which we have to mix the cattle dung with the water. So obviously there will be some challenges in it. So there is some factor like water somehow help the microbes to grow better. These could be the reason like people are preferring the diluted digestion, not the dry.
Okay, thank you so much.
I hope that answers your question. So next question I would like to take from Mr. Barkatullah. Mr. Barkatullah, can you unmute your mic?
Hello.
Yeah, please.
So my question is about biogas plant operation. Actually, I have operated underground fixed dome biogas plant and I have analyzed it for pH, ammonia, alkalinity, VFA, and temperature inside the digester. So I observed that its pH was around 8 and ammonia was high, whereas VFA and COD reduction was lower. So I operated fixed dome biogas plant at optimum mesophilic condition such as 35 to 37 degrees centigrade. So how can we improve these all optimum parameters at normal conditions.
Yeah, yeah. So may I ask that what feed material you are using for that?
Yes.
So what is the raw material you are using as a substrate?
I have used animal manure with water at 1:1 ratio.
1:1 ratio. Okay. So might be there is a large amount of nitrogen in case of the animal feed. So it will be good if you can add some the carbon content. If you have some data related to the C/N ratio of the feed biomass, that will help me to answer your question correctly. So because if there is ammonia accumulation in the reactor, so there are two reasons. One is that the feed is having the low C/N ratio. And second thing could be like there is no proper flow of the sludge from the reactor. Like the solid part is remaining in the system itself, and the liquid, only the water is coming out with some of the solids. So these
actually, I am continuously feeding the reactor, and automatically it discharge the same amount of slurry into the composite beds.
Yeah, yeah. So there may be some issues like the feed you are adding to the reactor might be having high nitrogen. Otherwise, nitrogen accumulation, if it is running properly, should not be there. And because of the nitrogen accumulation, only the pH is increasing. So I suggest that if you can do it, like if you can replace the digested, like if there is a actively running biogas plant in nearby area, and if you can take the digested, like what is the volume of the total digested of your the plant you are operating, and if you can feed part of it with the digested collected from actively running biogas plant along with the feed itself. So that may help to remove these impurities like ammonia accumulation in the reactor. And if you know the C/N ratio, obviously I can see that the problem is with the C/N ratio. So if you know, accordingly you can take the, like if you can have some waste material having some more carbon, if you are adding, if you add that, it will improve the performance.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the question. So I would like to take an opportunity. Mr. Veera Singh, are you there with us? You can ask the question. I can see your hand raising.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Kumar. Enlightened a lot of unclear areas regarding the separation and the separation of different the gases phases as well as liquid phases. For example, now you said that for the filtration of the solid phase from the liquid phase, you have used the different technologies. So is this technology is available to be used? But in your, I mean, case study, you have showed that they are like the screw type, or what is called the Archimedean type separator and this just separator. So what are the type volumes of these are coming? Whether these separators can work in case of the large digesters? And is there any, I mean, recommendation you can make on some of these technologies which you can use? So it is one thing, and the second thing about the carbon dioxide separation and carbon dioxide usage for the industry, as you mentioned. So I think that is an interesting area again, that you said that carbon dioxide is a biocarbon dioxide, what you call the that you can use for the food industry. So that if you could little bit elaborate about the technologies available and how we can access to these technologies, that will be very thankful to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Veera, for your question. So to me, I was also surprised to see that there is some case studies where the people are separating the CO2. Because earlier I was planning to cover the liquid part only, the slurry part. But I need to learn more about, like I have to do some research on that. So I'm not able to comment, properly answer your question as of now. But obviously I will be happy to answer your question on the email. If I can search for, I have to check the literature review related to that. And but in case of the separator, so I think there are lots of manufacturers those are making these separator, and these are like a small separator can handle a large volume because these are very fast running systems. So in some cases you may have to use one or two separator at the same time. But usually, as I have seen in biogas plant in Haridwar, so they have used one separator only. So they are using it. It's like filtration mechanism they are using, and they are separating the liquid and solid. Okay. And with respect to the CO2, I'll try to look for some more information in that because I found some study and they are claiming that they are marketing it.
So this was Professor Sanjeev Kumar, sir, thank you so much for addressing the questions from the audience. So now we'll move towards our third technical session, which is indeed a very interesting learning experience for all the participants. So we'll be having this online demonstration of the commercial biogas plant facility.